Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petralis, and we are super excited for today's guest. This is something that we've kind of half covered. We worked, as a lot of you know, with both the boys and girls team of Medford High, the hockey teams. We went around in their senior day, a little bit of an interesting twist, but kind of giving their away jersey to a teacher who was influential. And we saw the boys had their senior night first, so we kind of saw the first half of it. And now we're going to kind of get to see these ladies a little bit and the teachers that they chose going into the second video. So we're really excited about that. From my hometown where I teach a little bit, so obviously Medford people I give a little bit more love, but today we have the other side of it, the Medford girls high school hockey team here with us today. So welcome to Beyond Podcast, ladies. I'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves. So whoever wants to jump in and just take the lead, go for it.
My name is Elena, and I'm a defensive player for the girls' team.
Okay. Don't be shy.
My name is Lorelai. I'm a right wing.
Okay.
I'm Juliana Staridi, and I'm a defenseman.
My name's Grazi dos Santos, and I play right wing.
I'm Bella, and I'm a right wing.
All right, awesome. So welcome to Beyond Podcast. It was cool. I got some of you I know, and some of you I got to meet for the first time last week. So that was great, and being able to kind of meet your teacher. So let's just talk a little bit about that. I guess we'll jump in and dive in there. And anyone can jump in and take this question first, but talk about being able to kind of give a jersey to a teacher that meant a lot to you. I know for some people that's always like a little embarrassing and you're not sure how you're going to go about it and doing it, but anybody's like decision making, was the teacher you picked, like for someone, was it just someone they thought of right away, like instantaneously you knew exactly, or did somebody have to put a thought into it? Like, I like to kind of hear a little bit the process behind the choice. Anybody?
I know for mine, I knew immediately I wanted to pick Scary because he was my homeroom teacher for 2 years. And so I always sat in his room before school and everything. So it was really nice to be able to show him how much like those mornings really meant.
Yeah, and I felt like, I had like a lot of teachers reach out to me after like we kind of released the first video, and they asked me like, oh, different teachers that were chosen and some of the teachers that we hadn't seen. And I mentioned yours specifically and said that I felt like, to me, that was the most comfortable vibe. Like a student walking into a class like pretty comfortably, pretty confidently, where everybody else was kind of like a little timid. I felt like you walked in there with the most confidence, and I felt like he reacted with almost the same exact energy. So in a way, it was kind of like perfect match. I felt like, anyways, with
Yeah,
that choice.
it was definitely, and he was so thrilled and he was talking about it. Like he still is talking about it every time see him. He's telling me how excited he is for the senior night. So it's nice.
And the jerseys pop. I have to say, like being at the boys' game, like you could, like being on one side of the rink, I could see like two or three teachers in their jerseys, just like quick glancing. So it does pop out in the stands. So as you're playing, like keep that in mind. Like something I didn't get to tell the boys because they were playing, but obviously something for you girls to pay attention to. Does anybody want to jump in and add into that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've like same with Lorelai. I knew like basically instantly who I was gonna pick. I chose Miss McLaughlin. I actually had to fight with one of the boys over her because Carson wanted her too, but I've had her for like 3 years, and it's like the same situation where I can just rely on her for anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw that like on paper. There was like, I think there might have been a couple that were the same choice for like a last second switch. But being a teacher, I mean, I think that that's real cool. I mean, it's not like I invented it. Like I saw it on Instagram and thought it was kind of cool and just made it our own thing. But like the point being is that being like a coach and being a teacher, like I understand like the work and effort that goes into both. So I think sometimes when you do our job as a teacher, it can be tough. It can be thankless, and it goes both ways, but it can be tough and it can be thankless. And it's nice when students recognize you for something, especially a couple of teachers that seem pretty shocked, like Mrs. Braley, like Grazi. I'm going to go to you just because I did have Grazi in math, arguably the greatest math teacher of all time, but that's up for debate. But but to see Mrs. Braley's reaction, where I knew for like a week or two that you were going in, I know how much Mrs. Braley loved you. Like I know how much she did. Like, how cool was it for you to go in there and really see her like genuine reaction?
It was like such a good feeling because like she did have like a really big impact on me like years ago. So it was like really nice to like see her again and like see how she was doing and like how like it like made me feel good to see her like feel good. Like I feel like it like gives like some sort of like I don't know, like good feeling like to like me and her, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think what stands out a little bit more, and this doesn't none of the other girls take this personally a little bit, but like to me, it like doing those videos, it definitely felt when someone chose middle school or elementary school teacher to be like, man, that's great. Like to think back beyond high school, like to pinpoint a teacher that really stood out to you. Like to me, I felt like that. I mean, they all had equal equivalent meaning, but like to those ones were even more interesting to see how those teachers remember. Like I feel like you're when we guys saw Mr. Kremen, like he remembered who you guys were, like instantly knew both of your names. I mean, talk about going back and seeing Mr. Kremen and how cool that was for you.
It was pretty cool. I was one of them that switched like right before the day to go because I was gonna do Miss Federico, but then I was like, Mr. Kremen had like a big impact on me, and he was just like, whenever I see him, like he just always had a smile on his face, which made me like go through like the full day to get like just to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard great feedback about him. And truthfully, like every student goes to sixth grade that comes back that has Mr. Kremen or has had him has always been like, he's the funniest, he's the best, he's my favorite, like all the time, like all the time. So I wasn't surprised to see that. And then Bella, we haven't heard from you, so I'm just gonna let you get talk about your teacher too. But I mean, talk about that for you because that, I mean, your reaction, everything was cool too.
Yeah, so I've had Miss Merchant, well, not this year, but for like the past 4 years, I've always been around her.
Yeah.
And so I've been in special ed since kindergarten, and I feel as though special ed teachers have such a big impact on kids who aren't always like with other kids essentially. And she's always had this big impact on me and has been there all 4 years. And it was just a little something I could do to like give back to her saying thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, she actually worked at camp. I run like a summer camp program in the summer, and she worked here like 1 or 2 summers, I think, with us. And she was so nice. She was great. So when I saw her name on there, it brought me back. I was like, oh, that's awesome to see that. So all your choices were great. All your reactions were great. And then obviously we're jumping into senior night here a little bit, and that's kind of where this becomes parallel to what we were just talking about. These teachers are going to be there. But for you, and again, I'll let whoever wants to jump in. Once upon a time, you've been watching this game as a freshman, and somebody's maybe in middle school, like, but you've been watching this game for a long time, and now you're the ones being honored at this game. This is your senior night. I mean, has that sunk into you yet a little bit? And if so, like, what are these mixed emotions and feelings that you guys are feeling going into your game on Saturday?
I think going into senior night, it's a big game because we're playing Peabody, and we've played them before, so we kind of know how they are. But it's just like a big battle. They're a really good team, so I think we could hang in there and fight together.
Mhm. Anybody else want to jump in? Is anyone like really just like hasn't thought about it at all yet, or am I bringing up like making things really sad right now, or have you just really not thought about it because you just got a little bit of the season ahead of you? Because I know you guys got a game tomorrow, right? I think you have a game tomorrow as well. So in this game might not be totally on your radar yet, where it's only Tuesday, but um maybe it will start sinking in after. But being seniors and going out there and starting to play a last couple games, I'm sure that's starting to seep in for you guys a little bit. playing hockey. How many of you played your whole life? How many of you picked it up? I know, Grazi, I heard you say the other day when we were walking around that this is your first year playing. So that kind of really blew my mind because hockey's not the easiest sport just to kind of pick up and play. I mean, I argue it's the hardest by a mile, just because you're not playing on feet, you're playing on skates. So you got to learn that aspect of the game as well. So I know you've been playing for a short time. So I guess we'll start with you, but then I'd like to hear some of you, is it similar or somebody's been playing your whole life? Like I'm very curious. So Grazi, you jumped in. What was the deal there?
So I like kind of like for the last couple of years, like was always like supporting Strudy at her games and like always just like coming and like, so and then like in class one day, like I like just lost my job and like Strudy was like, you should join the team. And I was like, okay, like yeah, sure. And then like I just went to it.
Now, did you ever skate before that or no?
No.
So you had to learn. So this is your first year, period, right?
Yeah.
So how long has it taken you to learn how to skate?
Um,
Or are you
just
still in the process?
well, not really, like, right, like when we like had tryouts, like I was kind of like feeling like confident. I just like couldn't stop, but I could go. So it just
You ever see Mighty Ducks 2?
no.
Oh, there's a guy in the movie, he can't stop. Like he literally crashes in the boards all. Maybe you should watch it because he eventually learned how to stop. So might be a good tutorial.
Yeah, it took me like a couple of like weeks to like figure out how to stop, and then I just like went from there.
Okay, so I give you a lot of credit. Like I said, I think that's the hardest sport, and to me, that's amazing that you just pick it up and start playing. And yeah, that's really cool, really rare. Uh, Anybody been playing like their whole lives?
I've been playing my whole life. I've played since I was 10 years old. So,
Okay. So do you just in town in Medford, or do you play specifically like select or anything like that?
yeah,
Or
I played juniors. So, couple years ago, I joined the girls team for juniors and I've just traveled around the world.
wait, you played
So,
hockey around the world?
like in different states.
Oh, different. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you've played a lot of other places. Wow. Okay. Anybody else that plays outside of like Medford plays like, select or whatever it is for hockey that is that next level? How many of you are multiple sport athletes? You play something besides hockey?
I am. I also play softball.
You play softball. So talk about being a multiple sport athlete, because obviously you're on here, you're a leader for this program, but then you jump right into spring and being a leader in another program. I mean, for you, is it just you being you, or do you feel like in different sports a little bit, you got to be a little bit different in how you maybe approach things?
I definitely have a different approach to each team because with this is only my third year playing, so I'm still getting used to the whole hockey and how to deal with everything. And it's also different because of the ages, because our team has like seventh and sometimes sixth graders to high schoolers. So there's a big age gap, so you have to deal with things in different ways. With softball, it's a little more relaxed, I think, sometimes. And it's just I've also been playing that my whole life, so it's an easier way to deal with things because I know more about the sport.
Interesting. And interesting that you say, and if somebody else wants to jump in and answer this part of it, I mean, I didn't even think of that because you do probably have a lot of young kids on the team, arguably a lot of middle school kids. I mean, being leaders, how do you kind of balance that? Because, most teams are used to walking into a locker room that are kids that are freshmen through upperclassmen, and usually at the varsity level, it's more the upperclassmen than anything. With some of your maybe younger kids that are playing, but usually there's a lot more maturity maybe to their game as well. But you guys are playing with some younger kids. So talk about balancing that leadership because that can't be easy either. I mean, there is an age gap between you guys. Anybody?
I really think it's sometimes difficult to deal with like handling the dynamic of the team because you have to deal with each player differently because of the different age gaps and the different levels of maturity that we have on the team. And so it's just sometimes a lot, not a lot, but like it's just different than you would if it was like a normal like varsity team. But all the younger kids are so amazing and talented, and it's just wonderful that they're there. And
Yeah.
we're just so like I love all of my like all the little kids. They're so nice. So it's a different aspect, and you have to make sure what you're saying and everything is just a little different in certain ways.
Yeah, how you deliver it. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's usually just kind of how you say it or deliver it. So that's probably something, an approach that you got to get used to. I mean, in teaching, I learned that like how I talk to one kid is not how I can sometimes talk to another kid. So you guys probably get a taste and a dose of what your teachers maybe go through a little bit when they're dealing with younger or maybe a little bit more immature kids. What's the music situation? The boys' music situation was like all over the place. Like music was like heavy metal, rap. I mean, it was kind of everywhere from what I was hearing outside the locker room. What's your guys' music situation like? And is anyone here like in complete control, like they own the music, or is it kind of spread out throughout?
We have like a team like playlist, and it's kind of like there's like some rap, there's like some like pop, like just like things to get us like hyped like for like the games.
Okay, so what kind of artists are we listening to? What kind of artists are we listening to?
We listen to like Pitbull and like
Little TJ.
yeah.
I have no idea who that is, but I know who but like, but in all seriousness, I always ask that, and I say that every time I ask that because the answer is never the same. Like it's never the same, and that's what I find so interesting. I mean, music is such a part of sport, like at any level, professionally, collegiately, specifically in high school. I follow Max Preps, and the difference in videos and likes and views with a good music in the background versus like no music in the background is it's wild. It's so different. So music is a big part of getting ready for a game and getting a team pumped up. We cover the Salem State women's team, and their intro was the best we've ever covered. Like the lights flicker in, they come skating on the ice with the spotlight on them. I mean, and the music playlist they had is incredible. So that stuff's all really, really important. You guys talked about some younger classmen. And Elena, maybe I can ask you this. Is there any young kind of talent on the team right now? Someone who's maybe, middle school, early age, high school, ninth grader, 10th grader, someone in the program right now who's playing tough or their game's improved and there may be a young person to kind of watch out for as the years go on here?
Um, I feel like honestly the majority of our team is younger girls, and we have like a lot of great girls that you can already see their talent. Like we have seventh graders like Kelly or I know Isabel and also like Bailey, like they're the ones like they're getting goals and like you can see them on the ice. So I would say them, yeah. Like we have a lot of strong talent.
That's great to see. Does anybody want to throw anybody else on there specifically, or?
I think our goalie Erin, she is fantastic, and like the saves that she does like are insane. Like taking on 18-year-olds, she does amazing while doing it. And then our other goalie Nyla also is amazing, and they save us most of the time. Like they're doing a great job.
That's great. That's great. And what year's your goalie?
Erin's in 8th, and then Nyla's in 9th.
Wow. Okay, so pretty young goaltending you have, and they're both pretty good. That's great. I mean, talk about something cool because I had your coach on this podcast when she first got the job. And I've known her a long time outside of hockey. I know just a big hockey family in general, but someone who's gone through this program has all sorts of records. I mean, arguably the best player to ever come through this program, I would say. Not really arguably, probably is. And um you get to play for her and someone who's gone through what you've gone through and gets what you're going through and plays for the school that you play for. I mean, talk about playing for a coach that, talks the talk, but kind of walk the walk too. Anybody?
Um I I love Lanzilli so much. Like she is like such like a good like coach and like a good like person in general. Like she like just knows like how to like talk to people, and like she's like very reliable. Like she like is like so good at what she does too, like hockey. Like even like before when we start practicing, like we'll like me and her will like I'll like try to like get the puck from her. Like it's just like she is just like an incredible coach, and like I don't think I'd play if she wasn't the coach. Like she's just like like really good, and like she always tries to push us, and like she's like always like so like motivating.
Yeah, I mean, I found even when we came up with this idea, I reached out to her maybe November, December about your guys' senior night and what I had thought of and if she was interested. I mean, she was on like every email, want to be a part of every meeting. I mean, for her, this was like so important for you guys to have. And I just want you guys to hear that because I know she probably wouldn't say that, but was like made sure even like when we were up at the high school, she knew what classes you guys are in, both the boys and girls team. I mean, she really made this work. So if that alone is what she's like as a coach and what she does for her players, like if that's the indicator, then yeah, you guys, really lucky. I mean, you've been really lucky to have what you have as a coach, but someone to kind of really look up to in the school. That's the vibe that I got being there, both boys and girls. Everyone knows who she is, and young, energetic teacher, alumni. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a perfect fit. So that's cool. Um, and now for you guys like playing in the GBL and stuff, I mean, you play all sorts of teams, but is there a certain team you get a little bit juiced up for when you see them on the schedule? Like most teams you probably see twice a year. Maybe you see some teams 3 times a year. I don't know. But is there a team on the schedule that when you see them, like you're just kind of tying those skates a little tighter and just maybe shoving a little bit more after the whistle? You can
I
admit it. It's
would say,
okay. It's okay.
I would say Wayland,
Wow. Okay. Waylon. All right. Tell me. Let's go.
we this is like I think our first time having them on the schedule. We played them twice. They're like kind of like the same level as us. So like I think if we just keep pushing, we'd be able to beat them, and it's just like a good game.
I like it. Okay. I like it. Anybody else? No, no one wants to throw a team in the GBL like onto the bus, give them an elbow drop. Now, how many teams, like how many schools are combined with you guys? Is there any other schools combined with you guys this year?
We have Malden, Somerville, Everett, us, and I think that's it this year, but I know in the past we've had some other towns.
Oh wow. So you literally it's like the GBL and Medford like teamed up here. Okay. So it's like the Medford Mustang GBL. Okay. So you guys play a lot of teams out. So that must be tough finding a schedule then because you must be playing your schedule must be bizarre actually because you must play because you got to play teams twice. So you have to at least play like 10 different teams then. Like that's a lot because usually you know who you're playing like for like 80 games if you have like 4 teams in your conference or 5, but wow, that's really interesting. So Wayland, I wasn't expecting that. So it makes sense. You guys are the GBL. I mean, that's your team, so that makes the most sense. Um, Now for you, who's the hype person here? Like I need to know who's the person right now that in a second is gonna hype this senior night game up, like with to make sure it's a Saturday. I mean, no one has a life. Everyone needs to come to this game, right? And this we're gonna tell people. It's cold out, it's the beginning of February vacation. No one has to worry about the next day being Sunday. Every day's Friday for the next like 10 days, right? So why should they be going to the senior night game? Who's going to be my person? Come on, someone's got to flex. Who's a senior
Um, I
flex?
would say Grazi. She's
Grazi.
always
Okay.
she's
Grazi, I
always
love it.
yeah, she's always jumping around in the locker room, just getting everybody hyped.
I was going to ask who's the crazy person in the locker room. So is it, would I we say it's her then?
Yeah, I would think so. But there's definitely other people in the locker room that also are up there.
All right, let's talk about that in a second. But first, Grazi, first things first. We're speaking to the student body right now at Medford High School. Why should they be showing up this Saturday, 3 o'clock at LeConte Hockey Rink to see your senior night? Why should they be there?
Well, because like we're like us seniors, we're the face of Medford High girls hockey. Like I feel like if you're not at our game, then what are you doing? Like, because like what would be more important than showing up 3 o'clock at our senior night on Saturday?
I mean, nothing that I can think of, nothing that I can think of at all. So listen, guys, get there. These girls work hard. They're student athletes. They have jobs outside of this on top of it. So they grind. They do what they're supposed to do. It's their senior night. They're being honored. LeConte Hockey Rink, 3 o'clock Saturday. Beyond will be there. Their teachers will be there wearing their jersey, and you guys need to be there. So let's go. Let's get there. So you guys mentioned other kind of hype people besides guys in the locker room. Who's like the crazy person in the locker room? Who do you know has to bring the energy every single time?
One of our, I think she's an eighth grader. Her name's Isabel, like Isabel Tadia. She's always jumping around trying to get everyone in the mood. She has the most energy of the team, and she's just all over the place. It's awesome.
That's great, especially when it's like a younger kid's the one that kind of juices you up a little bit. Now have you guys played this team before, you said? So where do you feel like you match up with them pretty well? Like where do you feel like this time around you guys can get them?
Well, the last time we played them, we didn't have our full team. Some girls were out sick and had other things going on. So hopefully now that we have our full team, we'll be able to finally match up better against them.
That's great. Who should I avoid on the ice during warm-ups? Like who has a blistering shot that's just like all over the place that would hit me with the puck if I'm skating around with the camera?
Kelly Doe.
Yeah, just
He
stay.
has
What
a
number is
really
she?
good slap shot and will definitely leave a bruise on you if you're by her.
Okay. I mean, I'll take a bruise to the body. I just can't break the camera. I mean, that's kind of, I'd rather take an injury than a broken camera. So, but that's good to know. I'll make sure I completely stay away from her during these warm-ups. But the last thing that I'll ask you girls here, and again, if you all want to take this question one at a time, if only a few of you, if you want to pass, say pass. But I ask this question to lots of student athletes that are on here. And our listening age is 18 to 42. It is like a third, a third, a third. So this is a question I love to ask because people give great feedback about this. But, right now you guys play with a lot of younger girls on your team. So this probably hits home more for girls that are going to be listening to this tomorrow. Um, what advice would you give to young high school athletes, whether it's those eighth grade middle schoolers that are starting to play at the varsity level or the young freshman and sophomore? What's your advice to them as far as what you know now and as your senior year and your career is winding down? What would you want them to know these next few years that maybe you wish you knew a little bit more?
I would just say give it your all. Time flies. Every chance you get to play a game, to skate and practice, just do everything you can.
Go ahead. Anybody else?
I would definitely say that leave whatever you can out there because you only have so many games. So you do as much as you can at each game because it's gonna end someday. So you'd rather have no regrets than to say, well, I could have done better.
Bella, anything you want to add?
I think just try to not just play for yourself, but play for everybody around you because it's not just about you, it's about everybody, and you want everybody to kind of experience it in some way and make it like a better impact.
Excellent. Elena, Grazi, either you guys?
I would like just say similar to what everyone else is saying, but also just like to have fun and make the most of it. Like make the most of your time there and like out on the ice because then that's gonna be like your last time being on the ice and like having the feeling of going out there. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. And
I would say
Grazi?
like the same thing, like because like I feel like starting off like my first year, like I feel like I like don't have like really any regrets. Like I like played like I had fun like with like every one of like the team. I mean the girls on our team, and like it was just like really good.
Well, the one thing advice I give you in from covering a lot of senior nights in different sports and different schools across the state, enjoy it. Like every school celebrates it different. It seems like Medford, when I walked into the boys' game, the parents did an incredible job of decorating to the food, like pictures of the kids on like cookies and stuff. I mean, kind of wild stuff. And I'm sure I'm going to see the same exact thing for you guys. People will be there really early. And I know there's a lot of parents that probably have kids on both or involved in both programs. So if the boys were set up the way that they were, I can only imagine how beautiful it's going to look for you guys. So soak it in, enjoy it, because you do remember this stuff. Like you do. It's weird. You remember shifts and you remember shots and you remember certain plays and certain numbers. Like you just remember things that you maybe don't remember in a lot of other games. So enjoy it. And I want to end with the fun question. This is some question I always like to ask when we kind of sign off here, but I'm not saying you do this, but let's just say you hypothetically do, okay? What's like a big movie, sports movie you're watching the night before a big game? Like what's a sports movie that you watch or you've watched that just kind of gets you a little juiced up, or if you want to get a little pumped up the night before a game, you're gonna put it on.
I mean, not currently, but when I played hockey when I was younger, I was obsessed with the Mighty Ducks, and I feel like I watched it, like, over and over. I just, like, think that, like, I would say the Mighty Ducks, but
Were you
not.
one, two, or three, or did you just kind of put whatever one?
Yeah, like, I just, like, went through, like, a phase because I had played, like, hockey basically my whole life, and then I did Medford girls hockey for my 8th grade and freshman, so, like, I knew it was like to be on the team, like, young, and then I came back because Miss Unsley was so welcoming, and I already have her as a teacher, so I was like, "Let me come back for 1 year of fun," and it's like that I still think about that sometimes, the Mighty Ducks movie, it's kind of funny.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, there was this awesome tournament. It was actually ran by this girl, Kristen Grenard. She's from Medford. She does an awesome podcast, a Disney podcast. It's incredible. And she ran this March Madness bracket, but it was 64 Disney movies. And you had to like vote on her story, like this movie versus this movie. Mighty Ducks got swept in all three of their matchups. And my mind was blown. So I got to be on one of the recap episodes and I was like, they named the professional sports team after this team. And you're telling me that they go 0 for 3 and they lost like three animated like cartoon movies. So that was like our big debate or whatever. But I'm with you. I mean, I grew up watching Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3. There is something about those movies. Even when I'm watching Disney Plus with my kids, like I try to like, you guys want to watch this? I was like, let's try watching this. And then they last like 2 minutes, and it's like, okay, let's put on Bluey for the 400th time. So I get you. Mighty Ducks is sneaky movies that I always try. What about the rest of you?
I mean, mine isn't a movie, it's a TV show. It's
Okay.
Letterkenny. I watch it like with my dad. It has
What is it?
hockey
What
in
is it?
Letterkenny. It's like a Canadian like TV show.
Okay.
It's very like adult, but like it's really funny. I like it. It involves hockey. So that's
Hey,
always a
listen,
good watch.
that's great. Okay, that's good. What's it on?
It's on Hulu.
Okay, good to know. All right, I'll try. I always like to try something new. Okay. Anybody else, or is it no, nothing really?
I kind of like the Miracle on Ice. It's just a nice, like, I like the comeback story and everything. So
Yeah, I mean it is like a chill like every time like especially when they score the goal to like get the lead like you know it's coming every time you're like oh my like you just get chills with it so I get it. But girls, listen, I want to thank you guys for coming on here. We're really excited about covering Saturday. You obviously saw the boys video and your videos is it's going to be equal. So we're excited about the coverage and especially getting your teachers there. But more importantly, watching you guys win. We're gonna win. We're gonna beat them. We got a full squad this time. So game on. They got a big problem Saturday, and we'll be there to see it. So from Beyond Podcast, I'm your host Anthony Petrellis. Medford High girls hockey team. We got coverage with them Saturday. We actually have the Medford High girls basketball team senior night coverage that we're doing on Thursday as well. So we have a jam-packed weekend in Medford, end of the week in Medford that we're excited about. So girls, thanks for coming on, and everybody else till next time.